Hello friends! Welcome to Stephanie B Creativity. Today I'm playing around with an idea. I haven't seen a lot of felted projects and I'm kind of stuck on doing felt right now. And so I want to learn how to maybe make some small sheets of felt. I definitely want to make some of these little bags. They are so stinking cute, easy to make. I'm going to be putting a button on this. Now this one's a little bit short for what I wanted to do. I want to make a pencil pouch to put a bunch of my colored pencils into. So when I'm out traveling, I have a safe place for them to be. So, you know, I can probably fit 12 or more. I'm not sure. Let's see. For the diameter, this is made on the 22 needle AliExpress Professional. Look at it. This one's a little short. It was made with 50 rounds total from the top to the bottom. I think I need to make a bag that is, let's say 90 rounds total from the top to the bottom. And then I will felt it, cut it to shape, and sew a button on. I'm going to be doing a long tail cast on for this top edge, because the top edge is my first edge. And when I get to the bottom, I am going to do a waste yarn cast off because I want to crochet the edge together. Super simple, easy. Let's get started. You need to have some 100% wool because you want it to felt. You do not want superwash. You don't want anything that is going to inhibit the action of felting. So I'm using Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted weight. I have a whole bunch of different colors. I really enjoy the heathered versions, but this HollyBerry is really pretty too. And so is this Arctic. This one right here is Blossom Heather, and this is Icicle Heather. So I've got a bunch of different colors. I'm not sure how much I can make out of one skein of yarn, and this skein is a partial. I'm going to make a pink one first. Long tail cast on. Loop it over. You're going to go back and forth very loosely. Back and forth. Only 22 needles. Now we're going to go around here, get this counter reset to 0. I want to keep track how many rounds I go. And now we're just going to go around 90 times. Wow. Okay, I think I guessed pretty well. This is all I've got left. At this point, I'm going to just cut this off because I'm going to do a waste yarn cast off. So with waste yarn cast off, all you're going to do is take your working yarn, drop it down in. I should have left a longer strand so I could just do the crochet work to bind it, but I didn't, so I'll have to tie a piece on. I'm using a piece of acrylic yarn. This yarn does not felt. It will not stick to the original yarn. So all you're going to do is just drop it in. Make sure that you catch the yarn and then run, 6, 8, however many rounds you want to do. I'm just going to take that off. So there we are. Looks like a sock. You can just pop those stitches and boom, look how pretty that is. Now, this may end up being too long by the time I'm done. Just once it's felted, I can chop it off at whatever length I need it to be. So first up, we are going to bind this bottom edge. And I'm not moving my knitting machine because I am going to be making some more pieces. I want to have a whole pile of them made, so when I can felt all of the different ones. And I'm going to be writing down in my little notebook how many rounds I did for each color. So I have a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. I'm just going to drop that down inside there. I'm going to make a joining knot here. So I'm taking this piece across my hand this way. It doesn't matter. One of them goes so that the tail is pointing to the left. One goes so the tail is pointing to the right. Then I'm going to just pick up the piece that has the tail pointing to the right, and I'm wrapping, keeping them parallel to each other. I'm going to take that tail piece, I'm going to wrap it over my finger, like that, and then through the part that was wrapped over my finger. And then I'm going to do the same thing, but I can't tie a knot going that way. I have to turn it. So now I have the one knot there. The yarn is parallel right here. I'm going to wrap this one around my finger and over that long strand. So it's going over everything there. And then I'm going to tuck it through. And then when I pull these ends to each other, they can't pull off. And it's a super tight knot. Then I can go ahead and trim these ends. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good enough to hold it. Now, I'm going to flatten this and have my yarn coming out of a loop right here. All right, I'm going to reach in under that loop, and I'm going to grab and pull it up. And then I'm going to go over to the other side here and reach under, grab, and pull it up. Now, I've used 2 stitches. All right, I'm going to go under the stitches on the front side, under the stitch on the back side. I'm going to pull through and then pull through. I am doing a single crochet bind off. And I'm binding the 2 sides together. And you can tell which ones you're supposed to be getting. It's the last round. See how this is the last round of the main working yarn. Last round of the main working yarn. So I'm going under a loop on the front side, under a loop on the back side, pulling through, wrapping over, and pulling through. Under a loop, pull through those 2 loops. So now I have 2 loops on my hook, wrap over, and pull through. And I'm going to do that for the whole way across. When you do it this way, because I used 2 stitches when I did my connection here, I did 2 stitches, so I should end up totally even at the end because I'm using 2 stitches all the way across. 1 stitch from the front, 1 stitch from the back, all the way across. You should end up having to go through 2 stitches at the very end. Looks like it's going to work. Right here. 2 stitches under this one. They start getting a little bit tighter as you get to the end. And you don't want to split your yarn because you want a really nice tidy end. Now, see how these stitches are really tight down here? You're still going to go through both of them. 1, 2. If you don't, you will know when you take off your waste yarn. You'll know, because your stitches will just start going away. I'm not worried about this little tail hanging out here. After it's felted, anything sticking out funny, I can just trim. So now we're going to take that waste yarn off. This is my change pouch, long tail cast on. going to make it nice and loose as I'm going around. Once you've made it around once, it doesn't seem to want to split. So now I'm going to do 50 rounds. All right, I did 51 rounds. It's not a big deal. This one I'm going to do a long tail pickup because I'm making a rounded bottom bag like that with that rounded bottom. So it's just a drawstring. And then we have this edge all up here is all going to get cut. So it doesn't matter how I bind that edge off. So what I'm going to do is just cut this off. So I can pick it up. You do one round knitting around it. Basically that loosens up all of your stitches and drops the yarn off. So it's not trying to knit as you're going around. And then you're just going to use your darning needle and pick up each loop onto the yarn. Try not to pull your stitches off before you have a yarn going through it from the needle. Nice thing about this one is that it's only 22, so it's quick and easy. You see how quick this is. You could make these for holiday bazaars, for summertime festivals, bright colors, all kinds of cool things. I definitely would recommend these little change pouches for festivals because it's something small that a person can drop into their pocket with their change after they've bought it. Now you're just going to stitch around all those gathered up stitches, just like a hat. Now something that I wanted to test is if you were to make tubes like this and then felt them, what would it look like then split them? So I would make it as a tube without binding either of the ends and then split up the side after it's felted and see how big of a sheet of felt I could have. 100% wool felt is so expensive. I mean, rightfully so. It is a process. And I'm going to go ahead and just tidy up this top edge, just like that, around my hand, so it stays open, but that's been tidied up. And you know what? You can take that and just tie it off so it doesn't come loose while you're doing your actual felting process. I do a hot water, little bit of soap, wet process with agitation. You can do it in your washing machine or you can just do it in a basin on the counter. And this one I'll be doing in a basin here, so I'll show you what the felting process looks like. But now, that is my change pouch. I made it long on purpose because this is going to shrink, and then you have to have a certain amount that will be folding over, right? And you don't want your change to come falling out. So I'll show you a trick to make it so that the top can't let change fall out. I'm going to go ahead and swap to my bigger machine now. And this bag, I think, again, is only going to be, well, this was 50 rounds long. Once it's felted and closed down and it's like that wide, yeah, I want to make it about 70 to give me some room for the closure on the top. This one I will be doing a finished edge like my first one right here. So I will be doing a waste yarn cast off. I am not going to show you knitting these the bigger tubes and casting off because we've already done that. So I wanted to let you know that's what I'm doing, is I'm going to do a waste yarn cast off and a long tail cast on. Oh, and I do need to get this attached to the counter. This bag is ready to be fulled or felted. I'm just pulling on that cast on line just a little bit to pull that down in, just to keep it from being too floppity. Oh, that's gonna be so nice. After it's all felted, then I will be able to trim it and fold it, put a couple buttons on it, and it will be a really cute little pencil pouch. Now, it may be that it ends up pulling in too tight side to side. Hopefully it will be long enough. I don't know which way it's going to, which way this is going to go this time. Let's go ahead and felt these. We are going to felt or full these pieces, but what I need to do first is figure out how big they are to start off with. So this one, this cranberry colored one, I'm measuring on my little tabletop here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. 6.5 wide by 9 is tall. 12 inches across, 10 inches this way, and 6 inches deep. So it's not very big, and it's just a little bar sink type of thing. But it's what I have in my studio, and that's what I'm going to use. I'm just going to throw these in the sink. Now I have pushed the strainer down all the way. I am going to put some cold water in first because my kettle is only 1 3/4 liters of boiling water. So I do need to get these wet. So I'm just going to get them wet with a little bit of cold water before I put the hot water in here. Now, I don't wash dishes in this sink. This is a studio sink. I rinse brushes and things like that. So having this little battery operated faucet, and it's all off-grid, meaning this doesn't drain into the sewer system. It doesn't drain, it drains into a bucket. And then I can use that bucket. For this, I could just use the bucket to go out and water some plants because I'm using the Meyer's Clean Day soap. It is an olive oil and aloe vera soap. There's no harmful chemicals in it. It's all plant-derived cleaning ingredients. And no parabens, phthalates, MEAs, DEAs, or artificial colors. So it's perfectly fine to put out in the garden. So I just put some of that soap in here. Plus, it's lavender. It smells so pretty. So this is the lavender scent. Oh, now I'm going to throw some hot water on here. Just like that. Oh yeah, nice and hot. So, I've got some little tongs here, and all I'm going to do is agitate. And agitate and agitate, and once the water starts to cool down a little bit, I will start rubbing, because I want this to felt really, really well. You can stop the felting process at whatever point you like. If you like to see the stitches still a little bit, You'll have to know that you'll need to bind your edges a little bit if you still see stitches. If you want this to be completely non-unravelable, you want to make sure that you don't see the individual stitches anymore. And what I mean by that is like this right here. You really don't see the individual stitches. And you can cut a slit in it. It's not going to come unraveling on you. All of this up here was all cut. Makes a really nice fabric. So starting off, we're just going to keep agitating. And now I'm probably not going to show you the whole process. I think you're going to get it. But there's a point where when you're agitating them, you will start to notice how it changes its feel. So I'm going to pick it up and start rolling it in my hands, and you can actually start feeling the stitches start to grab onto each other, and the fibers start to hold on to each other, and you can feel the fabric thickening up and becoming felt. If you like felted projects, I do have a couple other things. I've got 2 different felted purses and and felted hearts, or fold hearts. I mean, the whole thing. It's fulling. It's fulling, but everybody calls it felting, so I'm going to call it felting. I am felting, but I know it's fulling. And I'm just going to keep working this and working it, and I'll show you what everything looks like when it's measured out at the end. Here we go. So these are still damp. I am not going to be cutting these yet, but I wanted to show you how I will wring them out. These are still damp, wet from the sink, from the felting process. So what I'm going to do is grab a towel, and I'm going to lay my pieces on the towel like this. And I'm going to roll it up just like a sausage or a cinnamon roll. Now that end there, I don't need that. I'm going to just cut it off. These little ends, just cutting them off. There we go. They're not going to do anything now. Rolling it out like this. And then I'm going to put another layer of towel on it. And the reason why is I'm going to put this on the floor, and I am going to stomp on it. I'll show you. You can put your full weight on it. If you've got kids, kids love to do this. You might have to flip it over a couple times. When you're done, you can unroll it. And your pieces are so much drier. It's still damp, and it still has a little bit of time that you can do some adjusting to it. A little bit of stretching. You want to be a little bit more gentle. If you stretch too hard, you're going to end up with a pucker or a pull that is just not going to make you happy. It'd be wide enough for a tin of postcards. Possibly. Ooh, look at that. Maybe I will put it onto the tin and use it to shape. Oh, look at that. I'll be able to use that to shape my little bag. And if you didn't want this seam on the outside like this, we could pull that tin out and flip this to the reverse stockinette side. I think I like that better. I like the smooth edge. And then slide it back onto your tin to let it dry in shape. There we go. So I'm going to let that one dry so that it's shaped. to my little tin here. This is going to be a change pouch. And I could, let's see. So if I'm going to have my little change purse there, I want to see something. Could this work as a phone sock? Oh, look at that. Look at that. And if my phone wasn't in a case, that would just slide right in. And then you could put a cord on it. Ooh, that's kind of cool. So this could be a change purse, or it can be a phone sock. It is going to be let's see. My pencil goes to there, and then I want this to fold down and then have a button which would go to there. So that could get cut off. And I'm going to do it right now. Cut this off. Isn't that neat? So now I could stitch this, flip it, stitch it, all the things. Oh, let's see. Let's see how wide this is. All right. So to make a small sheet of felt that I could use in a project. Oh, that I am so excited that I can use in a project. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a little bit. So the 22 needle can make a 5-ish wide piece of felt by however long you wanted to make it. Oh, that is so cool. If I were to have not sewn this bottom, this could have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 12 inches wide. I could oh my gosh, I could make pieces of felt that were 12 by 12 pieces of felt, 24 by 12 pieces of felt on the 46 needle circular knitting machine. Oh, so many possibilities. This piece right here, this is going to be my change pouch, right? It's mostly dry. I'm going to go ahead and start cutting on it. So I want my change pouch to be about 1, 2, 3, 4, 3.5, about 3.5 inches tall. So what I'm going to do is just go like this, and I'm going to cut down on that one, and I am going to cut down 1, 2, 3, 4, just right along that edge. So now you have this where your change can go inside. I'm going to cut one of these sides a little bit narrower, and I'm going to trim it down just a little bit. I'm going to take about 1 inch off. And I'm going to taper the ends. And if I want that to match, I just fold it in half. Okay, like that. Then this other end, I am going to trim off the cast off edge, or cast on edge, like that. I'm going to go ahead and just round those corners, like that. Now when you're putting your change inside, you're going to tuck this in, and then this edge is going to pull over. Look at that. So now I need to figure out where is my button going, because I'm just going to stitch a button on. Finishing these little felt pouches, so easy. So first off, I'm going to cut a slit, and to cut my slit for the buttonhole, I'm just going to fold this in half, lay my button on it right like that, and cut a slit. Now, I did not cut it as wide as the button because it will stretch and pull through. Now, put this on, figure out where my button's going, right about there, untuck. You don't want this tucked in when you are sewing your button on. And here, I'll pretend that these buttons are my treasure in my pouch here. You can open it up like that, pour your treasures into your little pouch, fold that flap in, and then this flap comes down. And now, no matter how much I try, I'm not going to get those buttons to come out. You're not going to lose your change. And away we go. So, change purse has been finished. The pencil pouch is going to be pretty much exactly the same way. I'm going to put my pencil on here. Actually, I'm going to put a handful of pencils inside. See how many pencils I can get, right? I am going to do the same thing where one side is going to be a flap that goes over the ends of the pencils. Now, I don't want to wrap it right on top of the pencil leads, so I want to go about a thumb up from that, so I have room for it to wrap over. So about a thumb up from my pencil leads, right there. Right there. This is all kind of a by guess and by golly. Taper the ends here. Fold that in so that protects the ends of the pencils, keeps them from sliding out. We're going to put a button on here. So just a little snip. The button is going to go there. And, ooh, look at that. I've got a pretty pink button. Our pencil pouch. Tuck that flap in. Fold this over. And now the pencils are not going to come out. They're not rattling. And now we're on to that last one right here, which is the bag. And I'm going to leave that tin in there so that I know how far down to stitch. I'm doing exactly the same kind of closure on this. So I'm going to go down to just above the tin. We're going to trim the corners to taper them slightly, like that. Then you will go to the inside, drop that in, like that. And then to the outside. Now on this one, I think I am going to sew a loop on the edge and put 2 loops on the edge. Kind of like that. And I might even put a handle on this. This would actually be a really cute little handbag. I haven't quite figured that out yet. So if you enjoyed this, please click that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends, and remember to go out and do something creative, take care of yourself, and be kind.